This afternoon, alert day conditions are in the forecast for southern Wisconsin. Our First Warn weather team is tracking the radar and when the storms are expected to hit. Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments on if the Trump administration can end birthright citizenship through executive order. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Spreiter. We begin with First Warn weather as southern Wisconsin could see some severe storms moving through later this afternoon. Our team was the first to warn you about the system last week. First Warn meteorologist Blaze Keller is live on our weather patio here in Madison with the latest forecast. Hi, Blaze.
Hello. Yeah, we've got the sunny conditions. We've got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. We've got a lot of atmospheric energy for storms later this afternoon to potentially use. So we're going to treat this as serious as it could be, because we could see large hail, strong winds, as well as an isolated tornado or two beginning here probably 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, lasting through 8 as late as 9 o'clock. So this is going to be a very quick moving line of storms. We've got an enhanced risk for anybody in the orange, a slight risk for anybody in the yellow, and then a marginal risk for anybody there in the green. We're carefully going to be watching where this warm front eventually settles here over the next several hours, because if it settles further north and east, a lot of southwestern Wisconsin may be out of the severe weather threat entirely. But let's say that warm front begins to develop storms off in Iowa, that would then put more of our coverage area underneath that threat for severe weather later this afternoon. So this is essentially the setup today. We've got a strong low off to our north and west. We've got its cold front and its warm front. The warm front is going to be the mechanism that forces the storms later this afternoon. And again, this is going to be right around the perfect timing for those storms to develop, to really capitalize on the heat of the afternoon, the energy, and the moisture overhead. Future Track has a line of storms developing as soon as 2 o'clock this afternoon and moving through central parts of Wisconsin by about 4:35, pushing out of our area no sooner than about 6, 7 o'clock. So again, this is going to be fast moving, but folks at home, this is going to be essentially happening at, and I hate to say it, but kind of at the optimal time for severe weather, the peak of the afternoon, the mid to late afternoon hours. So we're going to go more in detail about today's threats, and we're going to be talking about what lies ahead for the upcoming weekend in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. You can track the forecast for yourself on the First Warn weather app. It has hourly planners, road conditions, and radar. Download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC weather. Well, getting to and from the Beltline in Fitchburg could take longer for the next month. Starting Monday, up to 2 of the northbound lanes of Fish Hatchery Road from Traceway Drive to High Ridge Trail will be closed. Crews will work on a water main. Officials say traffic will be able to get through at all times, but are asking you to go another route if you can. Construction is expected to be wrapped up by June 15th. Dane County officials are working to revolutionize waste management as it continues to update and upgrade the county landfill. Landfill Director John Welch says the site now uses a mobile trash lab. It's a mobile classroom brought into the community to demonstrate sustainable practices. Welch also says the new plant reduces environmental impact while generating revenue for the county.
We've got a renewable natural gas plant, a $30 million facility that's taking the gas that's produced in the landfill. We're actually producing 3 million gallons of renewable vehicle fuel that we sell to Quick Trip every year. So that's not only good for the environment, but it's making us money as well.
Landfill staff are also involved in food scrap recycling, construction and demolition material recycling, and utilizing prairie grass as cover for the landfill. A Milwaukee County judge is pleading not guilty to charges that she helped a man in the country illegally evade U.S. immigration authorities. Judge Hannah Dugan entered the plea during a brief arraignment in federal court today. Judge Dugan, her lawyers, and prosecutors did not speak to reporters. Dugan is charged with concealing an individual to prevent arrest and obstruction. She could face up to 6 years in prison if convicted on both counts. A case before the Supreme Court today could have wide-ranging consequences for President Trump's agenda. At issue is his executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship. While most legal scholars argue the move is unconstitutional, that's not what the justices are focusing on today.
It appears that they're going to weigh in on this question of nationwide injunctions, so whether one judge can block a policy for the entire country.
Lower courts have blocked several of Trump's policies, prompting the president to argue that those judges shouldn't have so much power. But several Democratic attorneys general involved in the case say now is not the time to limit judicial authority. They argue some of President Trump's policies are illegal and accuse him of trying to evade certain court orders. President Trump visits the United Arab Emirates today during his final leg of the trip to the Middle East. He's left Qatar this morning after rallying troops and talking about a possible Iran deal. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
President Trump arrived in Abu Dhabi to great fanfare, complete with a military honor guard, music, and dancing. It's an elaborate welcome he has received on each leg of his Middle East trip. In the United Arab Emirates, he made the country's largest mosque his first stop, walking shoeless out of respect.
This is an incredible culture, that I can say.
Later, the president heads to the presidential palace for an official state visit. President Trump is using the trip to tout investment commitments and defense partnerships. Before leaving Qatar, President Trump held a campaign-style rally at Al Udeid Air Base, the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East.
As president, my priority is to end conflicts, not start them, but I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States of America or our partners.
During a business roundtable earlier in the day, the president suggested Iran may be close to agreeing to a nuclear deal.
They're not going to make, I call it in a friendly way, nuclear dust. We're not going to be making any nuclear dust in Iran.
He also alluded to his previous threat of military strikes.
I think we're getting close to maybe doing a deal without having to do this. There's two steps. There's a very, very nice step, and there's a violent step.
President Trump urged Qatar to help persuade Iran to reach a deal. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Qatar has served as an intermediate between the U.S. and Iran and its proxies throughout the Middle East, including Hamas and Hezbollah. Well, still ahead for us on a Thursday afternoon, the urgent warning from the Consumer Product Safety Commission over certain faucets. Plus, Uber introduces a new bus-like route share service for commuters.
With President Trump and the Emir of Qatar present, Boeing and Qatar Airways inked what the airline is calling an historic multi-billion-dollar deal for 160 large planes, including 130 Dreamliner aircraft. There's also an option for an additional 50 planes. Qatar Airways also signed an agreement with GE Aerospace for more than 400 engines to power its Boeing planes. Boeing says the deal with Qatar Airways will support 400,000 jobs in the U.S. An urgent warning, the Consumer Product Safety Commission says you should immediately stop using certain bathroom and kitchen sink faucets sold on Amazon because they can leach lead into drinking water. All 4 brands listed in the agency's announcement were made in China. The CPSC says so far none of the companies have agreed to an acceptable recall. And Uber has introduced a new bus-like route share service for commuters. The company says route share costs up to 50% less than a traditional Uber X. Here's how it works. Passengers are directed to meet shuttles at stops along a preset route at a set time, with vehicles running every 20 minutes. For now, route share is only available in 7 major cities between the busy rush hour times of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's your CBS News Moneywatch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's a look at the current stock numbers at the noon hour. The Dow is up 193 points, NASDAQ up 35, and the S&P 500 up 22. Pam has today's farm numbers ahead, and Blaze returns with that alert day forecast, and later on Live at 4. Money for Narcan and treatment centers have helped countless Americans overcome addiction. How federal cuts could impact that. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Pam Yankee from the Midwest Farm Report. Pam, have you stepped outside? It is steamy out there today. You can tell something's brewing.
I'm sweating right now, buddy. I just came in from outside, and when I get done talking to you, I'm headed down to Cambridge to visit with Dwayne and Tina Hinchley, the host for the Dane County Breakfast on the Farm. And I can imagine I'll look like something the cat spit out by the time I get done visiting on the farm. It is a sticky day, and let's be careful if we're out there doing planting in the tractor or in that garden, lawn work. Take a break. Make sure you stay hydrated. It's amazing for me, quite frankly. Well, let's talk about what's happening. I mentioned that the Hinchleys are going to be hosting the Dane County Breakfast on the Farm. Greene County is going to get a jump on all June dairy celebrations. They are going to be having their big event coming up the last weekend of May. For a change, it is not Memorial Weekend, so they're hoping that a lot of folks will have the time and energy to turn out in Monroe, where Joe and Liz Steiner are going to be your hosts at Heaven View Dairy. That's in Monroe. Now, this traditional dairy farm is welcoming you out. They've been very involved in the community for a long time, helping to educate the general public, and now they're stepping into the spotlight for the Greene County Breakfast on the Farm. Just want to remind you, greenecountyagchest.com, the website, can give you some more details on logistics. And more importantly, I really stress, try to take the shuttle bus from the Walmart location in Monroe out to the farm. It just is so slick. They drop you right off at the beginning of the line for the breakfast and get you right back to your car. Not knowing what the weather is going to be, that also means that you're not getting stuck in a farm field instead of if you drive out there. So think about those things. WisconsinDairy.org has all the rest of what's happening as far as June dairy activities. If you want to cross-reference dates, locations, and times, you'll find it all right there. Good luck to the 6 candidates that are starting their interview process in Crawford County today. By Monday, we will know who the new Alice in Dairyland will be. Haley Heinzel from Oconomowoc will remain on the job until the beginning of July. Okay, so today, as far as dairy is concerned, the barrel cheese up 4 3/4 cents at $1.82. 40-pound block cheese a nickel stronger at $1.89 3/4. Double A butter, though, down another penny today, $2.33 1/4 per pound. So if people want to follow on social media, I'll try to post a couple pictures when I get down to Cambridge, probably about an hour and a half from now.
Well, hey, that sounds like a good afternoon. You're going to want to watch out for those storms, though. They're going to be coming in a little bit later.
Yeah, I want to get over and done and back home before it all rolls in.
Good luck with that. I hope you can do that, Pam.
All right, buddy. I'll
Stay
see you tomorrow.
safe. All right, well, we're tracking those alert day conditions this afternoon. First Warn meteorologist Blaze Keller is here with the latest forecast. And what kind of timing are we looking at here, Blaze?
We're looking at it to begin between 2 and I would say 4 p.m. and then wrap up about 7, 8, maybe as late as 9 p.m. this evening. It's going to be happening when it's kind of the perfect opportunity for severe weather. I'll touch on that in just a moment, but let's look at the current ingredients that we have as we make our way further into the noon hour, getting closer to that start time about 2, 3. Temperatures are warm. Winds are out of the south. We are continuing to get the atmosphere ready. We are setting the table for these storms, and they are going to be wanting a lot of food as we go into the afternoon. We got a lot of moisture as well. Dew points are into the 60s, nearing 70-degree dew points in some spots. That's a lot of moisture for these storms to use. As meteorologists, we look for 4 things. We have a nice little acronym for it called MILS: moisture, instability, lift, and shear. We have the rotation in the atmosphere, we have the moisture, we have the instability. The yellow's indicating that high level of atmospheric energy, the food that we're putting on the table for these storms later this afternoon. And we need the lift, which is that warm front. And again, this is all happening or could be happening at the optimal time for severe weather. The last time we had a severe weather chance, remember we had that moderate risk, it was later in the evening. This is happening in the mid to late afternoon. The best time for severe weather. You don't really want it later in the afternoon into the evening and overnight. The storms want the sunshine, and that's what they're going to get this afternoon. Marginal, slight, and enhanced risk, so an isolated threat in the yellow, scattered severe thunderstorms here in the yellow, to numerous severe thunderstorms in the orange there. And again, we're looking at all severe weather possibilities. I want to highlight, though, the tornado threat. It's about medium, and where we see those black lines, that's what we call a hatched risk. So there's just that a little bit of a better chance for one of those stronger end tornadoes, EF2 to EF5. But we're going to be carefully watching over the next hour or so where the warm front settles, because that's going to be our lift in that acronym, MILS. Moisture, instability, lift, and shear. So where does that warm front settle? If it moves its way further through parts of southwestern Wisconsin, we might not even be in a severe weather threat this afternoon. Future Track has those storms beginning to develop as we go into the 2 p.m. hour. Again, if this holds off until later, southwestern Wisconsin may be out of that severe weather threat. That line of storms is going to quickly develop because there's a lot of energy, and a lot of moisture. And we're going to watch as a line of storms with a few that are going to be alone, those discrete supercells, as we head into that 4, 5, 6 o'clock time frame. That line continues to race off towards the north and east, pushing into Lake Michigan by about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. So this is going to be a relatively short window of severe weather, but it's going to be at the time that is almost perfect for severe thunderstorms. So again, that's why we have that enhanced risk, why we could see all severe weather modes later, or severe weather threats later this afternoon. And if we specifically are looking at the chance for those supercell thunderstorms, the rotating thunderstorms, the ones that typically produce tornadoes, the better chance for supercells is going to be further south, because as this line develops further south, you just get a little bit better rotation. Those storms typically start off by themselves, but we could see rotation within that line as well. So over the next couple of hours, make sure you're staying with News 3 Now for the latest. If you haven't done so already, download the First Warn weather app. It's going to push watches and warnings for your area to your phone. Make sure that you have a safety plan in place, and make sure that your friends and family know what to do in the event of a severe thunderstorm warning, a tornado watch, or a tornado warning. These storms are likely going to be wrapping up as we go into that 7, 8, 9 o'clock time frame. We could be dealing with a few lingering thunderstorms on Friday, not expected to be severe. And for the Set and Demai Festival this weekend, it does look like we'll be a little bit cooler, more comfortable with those dry conditions for Saturday and Sunday.
I give you credit, Blaze. Did you see the dog just did a flip over the back of the couch here in your forecast?
She's a little goofball. And I use little very loosely, but we'll meet her in a second, but she's adorable.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, thanks, Blaze. Well, today Howard shares a dish that he says will leave you stuffed and satisfied.
I don't know about you, but personally, I love anything that's stuffed. When I go out, there's a pretty good chance that I'll order the stuffed pork chop or chicken breast. And in a bakery, you can bet that I'll always go for a stuffed cupcake or a turnover bursting with apples. So today, I want to share another stuffed favorite that I know you're going to love. We begin by mixing some ricotta cheese with shredded mozzarella, a bit of grated Parmesan, and a few seasonings. Now, we dollop this onto the center of 6 chicken breasts that we flattened and sprinkled with salt and pepper. Then, we sort of roll them up. You want to make sure the chicken surrounds the filling so that it doesn't ooze out while it bakes. We'll sprinkle the tops of these with some panko breadcrumbs that we mix with a bit of paprika. Then, into the oven they go. What we end up with is a bundle of slow-roasted chicken that's brimming with a rich and cheesy Italian filling. Serve it up with some pasta and sauce for the ultimate feast. To get the recipe for our stuffed chicken muffins, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an Italian stuffed way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
After the break, we'll introduce you to our Pet of the Week from the Dane County Humane Society. Well, it is time for Potentially Yours. Lisa Bernard from the Dane County Humane Society is here with our Pet of the Week. And it's a dog, but I tell you what, this dog's kind of like a horse.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes acts like one.
Could not do weather with her.
Literally, Blaze was doing the forecast, and all I see is the dog do a flip over the back of the couch, and I thought Lisa was going to go right behind her.
She did it so beautifully,
it
too.
Was.
Like,
It was very
I give her a
gracious.
9.5.
It was very gracious.
Yes.
So this is Versi. Tell us about her.
This is Versi. She is 6 years old.
Okay.
She still has some energy in her because she likes to play with her toys. Come here, Versi. She does listen pretty well. She knows different requests like sit, lay down. She likes to snuggle and give kisses. She likes to lay near people. She's
She
very
loves
much
people.
a people person. Yeah.
She gets excited right away, but then after she kind of figures it out, then she settles down.
Exactly. And she loves playing with her toys. She's looking for a home that doesn't have any other dogs. She has lived with a dog, but she can be a bit much for other dogs because she wants to be in charge.
And she's over 100 pounds.
She's over 100 pounds.
Yeah, a big dog.
Yes. And So she likes her toys, she likes her food, but we haven't found a treat that she responds to.
So she'd be good for a family who, because she knows some commands, you don't really have to train her. And if you're just looking for one pet that just really loves you.
Yeah, and she's very loyal. She's gonna
so
be
sweet.
super loyal. She did ride really well on the in the car. Come here, honey. Bercy, this way, up. Good job.
There she is. And she's got beautiful blue eyes.
She does. She's going to make your heart melt with those beautiful blue eyes. So very, very loving. She's been with us for a while, so she's a member of our Lonely Hearts Club, and her adoption fee has been reduced to $100.
So it's time.
That's perfect.
It's time.
Perfect.
She deserves a home.
Yes,
they all
she
do,
does.
right?
Yes,
All right,
she
Lisa.
does.
Well, thank you so much for introducing Bercy to us. We're going to find her a forever home. Hey, good news on last week's pet, Angelina.
Yay!
She was adopted.
Oh, I
that's
love it.
awesome. So if you're interested in adopting Bercy or checking out other animals, just go to DaneCountyHumaneSociety.org. And you're tracking those storms this afternoon.
We are, yes. Again, quickly, probably between 2 and 7 o'clock tonight. Stay with News 3 Now for the latest.